What's up, everybody? We are back with another preview video previewing week 4 today. We started off hot onto the year. We're actually 24-8 so far on the year with our picks, so not bad, not bad at all. But we'll kind of jump right into this, starting with the Thursday night game, the Broncos at Jets. This is a terrible game, a typical Thursday night game. I'm not going to talk too much about it besides my pick, because the Broncos would be more exciting if they had everybody, but they don't, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm going with the Broncos still, even though both these teams are terrible at this point, but I'm going with the Broncos. Next one is the Colts versus Chicago Bears. This I feel like is kind of a toss up. I'm going to go with the Colts. I don't know if Nick Foles can. We haven't seen it consistently, so I'm kind of iffy on him. But the offense looked a lot better with Nick Foles than it did with Mitchell Trubisky. So I'm more confident in the Bears, but I don't know how much more confident until I can see Nick Foles, on a kind of like a several game sample. So for that reason, I'm going to go the Indianapolis Colts on this one. I think they're kind of overall the better team. I know they're dealing with Malik Hooker out. They do have some question marks, but I think they're the better team overall, so we'll go Indy. Next game is also a pretty bad one. Is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Bengals. Both these teams aren't terrible. They're not the Jets, which is a plus. They're kind of scrappy, bad teams. They'll give you a little bit of a fight, but then ultimately you'll steamroll them in the end, except unless you're the Eagles. But with that said, I think I'm going to go the Bengals here for their first win. It's technically a home game, quote unquote. I like Joe Burrow better than Gardner Minshew, so for that reason, I'm going to go the Cincinnati Bengals. Next game is the Cleveland Browns at the Dallas Cowboys. As I scroll down and scroll too far almost, so the Cowboys, I I don't know, they're just a high flying team. Like they offense only pretty much. They don't play any defense, and I don't see their defense getting too much better. The Browns are a ground and pound kind of slow the game down offense almost. So it's going to be interesting to see because the Cowboys haven't played like that, even though they have been capable of doing that in the last couple of years with Zeke. So this is going to be an interesting game, but I think the Dallas Cowboys can just ultimately score more points than the Cleveland Browns can. And so I'm going to go Dallas, but I would not be surprised if this is another 30 point game for the Cowboys. And Cleveland is, roughly about 20, 25, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of another high scoring game. Next game is the Saints and Detroit Lions. Patricia may have saved his job until like week 8 because of the win last week against the Cardinals. I don't know how much though that actually matters. The Cardinals are an average team. The Saints are definitely looking to rebound after losing to the Raiders and the Packers. They have to, otherwise they can start falling behind in the NFC. I think because of that, Michael Thomas was practicing as of Wednesday, so I think if they can get him back, they're going to kind of come out with something to prove, and this could potentially be a blowout for the New Orleans Saints. I feel like their offense. I'll give the Lions credit though. Their offense looked a lot better with Galladay, and Galladay, people underrate him. He's a top 20, top 15 wide receiver. So because of that, I'm a little higher on the Lions than previous weeks, but I think the Saints can steamroll them. Next one, I think could also be just a blowout by the Seattle Seahawks. Their offense only at this point, but their defense has guys that can play, especially in the secondary. So I don't see them having too much of a struggle with Miami. I think, like I said, I think this could be another blowout. I don't think Miami can keep up offensively, even though they did just hang a lot of points up on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the Jags have one of the worst defenses in the league. Seattle is bad defensively, but they're not that bad. So I'm going Seattle on this one. Next game is the Los Angeles Chargers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think for this one, I think Herbert is still going to be the starter, but well, I think he's going to be the starter not because of play, because of the injury to Tyrod Taylor. But I think they're just with the injury to Derwin James, their defense it's solid, but it's still a step behind than behind kind of what people expected. Because of that, I think the Buccaneers can kind of take advantage of some of their weaknesses on defense a little bit in the secondary, specifically just at that safety spot. Their corners are pretty good. Their other safety, Adderley, is I believe that's who their other safety is. He's solid as well. I just think ultimately Tampa Bay is the overall better team, especially on defense at this point in time. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has played really, really well, and because of that, I'm going to go the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next game is the Baltimore Ravens at Washington football team. I almost said Redskins. Um, this game could also be a blowout. So far, there's not too many good games that I see so far, like that I think could be competitive. The reason this game I think could get out of hand is the Ravens want to prove they kind of want to prove their doubters. They want to, they did not look that good against the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar definitely wants to rebound. He was pretty hard on himself after the game and some of the post game interviews. I think because of that, they're going to come out with kind of a reason, a purpose to steamroll and absolutely destroy the Washington football team. I would not be surprised if this is like I don't know if it's would be as bad as week 1 Ravens versus Browns, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in that same boat. And then if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if the football team benches Dwayne Haskins. Ron Rivera he didn't sound very confident. He wasn't like really backing Dwayne Haskins in a lot of the interviews this week either. So it's looking like if the football team puts up another bad performance on offense, which I think could definitely happen, there could be a quarterback change coming soon. So that's something to watch for that game. The next one is the Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. Um, this this game could be interesting just because the the Panthers don't play any defense. Their defense is probably one of the worst in the league. I know I've said that about the Jags, but they're probably up there. If they're not the worst, they're probably top 3. The Cardinals, their offense has just been DeAndre Hopkins. Besides that, no one else has been too consistent. So I'm not. I don't know if defense would be a huge problem for Carolina in this one. I'm not saying that they'll shut out the Cardinals, but I do think that this could potentially be a lot closer because the Cardinals offense isn't bad, or the Panthers offense isn't bad. So this could potentially be a little bit in the higher scoring, in the high 20s. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is closer than what a lot of people think. A lot of people are very, very high on the Cardinals. I just personally don't see it. I'm kind of on the opposite. I think they're more of an average team, and I'm not very high on Kyler Murray as well. But that could just be me. If they come out and blow the Panthers out, I wouldn't be surprised. But I would be willing to say that this is probably a 3 to 5 point game. I don't know if it's double digits or if it's even a touchdown game. Next game, and I'm going with the Cardinals on that one. I don't know if I said that, but next game is the Minnesota Vikings at the Houston Texans. So this game might get postponed. If you've been keeping up with NFL news, you can see down here at the bottom, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tennessee Titans game is already postponed. Because of COVID, there was, I believe, 4 cases of COVID tested so far for Tennessee. They could potentially play on Monday or Tuesday, so we'll kind of go into that one a little bit. And I'll still make a pick. This game, the Vikings for some reason are much more confident than the Titans, and they haven't canceled practice. I believe they're going back into the facility on Saturday. They haven't. They had a couple of cases. I think they had 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly, but they're not as worried as the Tennessee Titans, which maybe is a positive sign. I don't know what to make of it. They don't seem they didn't can't like the Titans aren't going back into the facility until I think they were Sunday, and then the Vikings I know are just a day earlier, but they didn't like there's not too much so far being talked about the Titans cases or the Vikings cases. It's a lot more about the Titans. So I'm going to assume that that game is still going to go on, and if it does, I'm picking the Houston Texans. I know they're 0-3, and they put together a good half against the Steelers, but that second half was bad. But if they can keep up that first half, they're 0-3. They need a win, or I mean, Bill O'Brien isn't going to fire himself because he is the GM, but I don't know. It's going to get like there's going to be a lot of heat on that team if they go 0-4, especially to the Vikings, who have, besides last week, have looked like one of the worst teams in the league. So I picked them to rebound. I picked the Houston Texans to rebound this one. I wouldn't be surprised though if this is another close game. These teams are both like mediocre at best. So with two mediocre teams, you never really know what you're going to get. So I would say that this is almost a 50-50 coin toss, but I'm going to go Texans, and I'm going to stick with that. I was almost going to talk myself out of that one just because they're both average. Next game is the Giants at Rams. I'm going Rams here. I feel like that's kind of the obvious pick. The Giants are probably the second worst team in the NFL behind the New York Jets. So it's just funny how both teams are from New York. There's honestly not much to say about the Giants. Their offense has been horrible. It's really just because of their O line is one of the worst in football again. Their defense is pretty bad as well. I don't know. This game could be a blowout, and I wouldn't be shocked. So I'm going Rams by double digits. I think they win by 10 plus. Not much to say about like the Rams in terms of why I think that. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. I think they're just overall the better team. So we'll kind of leave it at that. We won't poke the dead animal on the on the side of the road, aka the Giants. Next game is the Patriots at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have had a low-key a tough schedule that not a lot of people have talked about, but they're still 3-0 and they're dominant. This is going to be a really good game. I'm really surprised that this is not the Sunday or Monday night game. They should. I know they flex in the later end, like later part of the year. They should flex honestly throughout the year. This matchup should 100% be at least the Sunday night game ahead of the Eagles and 49ers. I understand Falcons, Green Bay. That's a good matchup. I get you. I guess you can leave that one on Monday night, but to have the Eagles and the 49ers on prime time Sunday night football when you have Patriots, Kansas City, just a typical four or just a regular 4 o'clock game, that's ridiculous. They need to flex that. But back to the game, back to the game analysis. The Patriots, they are a pretty efficient offense. They had that really good game against the Seattle Seahawks. Last week they were still pretty good on offense against the Raiders. It kind of took them till the second half to figure out to kind of get the ball rolling. But their defense is also really good. I feel like it's very underrated. Their secondary, but Kansas City has the best offense in football, has the best quarterback in football, in my opinion, and their defense every single week has gotten better and better and better. They have Sneed, the Ladarius, no, it's Chardavius Ward is the one cornerback, and then Sneed, I can't remember his first name. It starts with an L, but it's blanking. Their cornerbacks are actually getting better every single week, and they're playing really well. And with Tyrann Mathieu in the secondary, their defense is, and Chris Jones up front, their defense is not as bad as what a lot of people were thinking it would be. So I think the Chiefs are the better team, and I'm honestly afraid to pick against Mahomes. So because of that, I'm going the Chiefs. But this game, this is going to be a good game. I think this if the Chiefs can really, if they can figure out Bill Belichick and kind of just and basically blowouts like they did the Ravens. I know the score didn't look like a blowout, but if they can kind of just take it to the Patriots, I don't see how you can argue anybody else is better, in the NFL right now. So I think the Chiefs, this could potentially be another statement game. They made the Ravens game a statement game because a lot of people were picking the Ravens. I think they could do the same thing in that locker room and make this game another, like, hey, we got to go show the world that we are the best team again in football. So I'm going with the Chiefs, and I'm pretty confident on that pick. I just don't want to pick against Mahomes again. Next one is the Buffalo Bills at the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Raiders, they're like an average. They're another average team to good, like a 8-8 potential to 9-6. But their style of football is completely different than a lot of other teams. Their O line is massive, and they like to run the ball. They like to do a bunch of play action, kind of short and intermediate routes. And then if Henry Ruggs is back, then they'll throw deep bombs to him every now and then. If he is not playing, and so far it does not look like he's going to, their offense looked extremely limited against the Patriots. And for that reason, I'm really, really worried about them keeping up with the Bills, who have been on fire on offense. The problem with the Bills is their offense is rolling and their defense is in a slump. And then their defense is rolling and their offense kind of cools off a bit. So if they can put an entire game both sides together, they're by far the better team. And like I said, I don't think Ruggs is going to play, so I think the Bills could potentially do what the Patriots did and just double and triple team Darren Waller. And outside of Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs, the Raiders don't have much. So also because it looks like Bryan Edwards, their another rookie receiver for the Raiders, doesn't look like he's going to play. So for that, I think the Raiders are just missing too much on offense. Their defense is not good enough to keep up. I don't think they're good at all. I don't think they forced a punt against the Patriots. I'm pretty sure I saw some stat that they did not force a punt, or it was something outrageous. I can't remember exactly, but their defense is not very good. With that, I'm going the Bills, and I could see this another double-digit game, unfortunately, for the Raiders. So picking the Bills here, and we got. We'll go. I guess we'll go two more or three more games because I'll still talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though that game looks like it might be postponed. But next one is the Eagles 49ers. The Eagles, they need to win, but I don't think they're going to. They do not look very good. Carson Wentz has been the worst quarterback, I'm pretty sure, like based off PFF. I know PFF isn't everything, but a lot of statistics show that he has been very, very bad. I mean, Nick Mullins stepped in and played better last week than Carson Wentz did. So Nick Mullins is playing again this week. I'm pretty sure that was confirmed. It's like a 99% chance that Jimmy G is not going to play. So that gives the Eagles a shot just because of all the injuries to San Francisco, but I don't think it matters. I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in football, and I think the Eagles, they're not very good on offense. Their defense is all right, but I don't trust them at all. I'm going 49ers, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a blowout. I would not be surprised if 49ers win by 10 plus. They're just overall the better team. They're overall better coached. They are overall playing better. So I would not be surprised if they roll over the Philadelphia Eagles. Now on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans. Normally I go kind of deep into the Steelers, but this game it's kind of looking like it might get canceled or postponed for another week. So I'll kind of keep it brief there. If this game does play, this is going to be a really, really good game. And I honestly I don't hope because I don't want anyone to have COVID, but if this game could be another Monday night game or a Tuesday night game, which is kind of what they're rumoring, that would be great because this is probably the third best matchup of the week 4. So both 3-0 teams. The Titans I'm a little skeptical on them because they've had to come from behind. They've been in weird situations against kind of inferior competition. So I'm I wouldn't say I'm extremely confident. I was very confident that we would beat the Texans, we being the Steelers last week. I'm not as confident this week, but I think our defense is playing better than the Titans at this point in time, especially our front four, especially our front seven. I get you can include Devin Bush, not so much in the pass coverage, but against the run. Our our defense has been amazing, probably the best defense in the league against the run. I think we can handle Henry. The problem is, can we handle him all the way through the game? We've seen Henry kind of get locked up through the first three quarters, but then once it gets in the fourth, people don't want to tackle him. Honestly, like I know it's kind of a cliche to say that, but people do not want to get in front of that dude. So if we can hold him down for four quarters, and we can then we can limit their play action pass. I'm pretty confident the Steelers can win this game. So I think the big piece for this is, can Devin Bush cover Jonnu Smith? Noah Fant, once the Broncos realized their mismatch, Noah Fant against Devin Bush, they were attacking it and they were cooking Vince Williams, Devin Bush, anybody they put on, any of our linebackers. Devin Bush is just he's still learning. He's too young to kind of be placed against these I guess top tier. Noah Fant and Jonnu Smith are playing really well. I wouldn't put them in the top tier, but he's Devin Bush is not an elite pass coverage linebacker just yet. So I'm a little worried about that. But I think if Deontay Johnson is playing, we have Juju. James Conner has. I'm a little skeptical on our running backs. Again, I've said that every video, but our O line played much better, and David DeCastro is only getting healthier. So I think the Steelers could pull this one out, but I would not be surprised if this is a field goal game. Hopefully, it does not come down to Gostkowski, because he revived himself the last 2 and 3 weeks, or week 2 and week 3. So hopefully, it's the Steelers kicking a game-winning field goal, and not in the Titans' hands to make it, because Gostkowski has looked like he is on a mission to show that he is not washed. So yeah, I'm going Steelers on this one. I could be biased though, but this game is going to be a good one. And the final game of the night the final game of the week is Monday Night Football. Atlanta Falcons at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is on a roll. The Falcons offense is very good, but they cannot hold a lead, and their defense is pretty bad. It's probably bottom five. Honestly, it's been really, really bad, and that's kind of why they've blown leads. I know it's not entirely on the defense. Their offense kind of stutters and completely stalls at bad points in time of the game. Because of that, I think the Green Bay Packers could potentially blow out the Atlanta Falcons. I would not be surprised. I'm going double-digit win, Green Bay Packers on this one. I just think they're by far the better team offensively and defensively, and they are on a roll. Aaron Rodgers is out to prove that there was a horrible mistake for them to draft Jordan Love, and he's out to win the MVP. So I'm going Packers in a big, big win. I think they can win by double digits, and that kind of that wraps up the week 4 preview there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I picked against your team, and if you think your team could win. As always let me know. I'd love to hear why. So leave that in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys next time.